Welcome back on the program. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered the immediate deployment of police tactical assets to the recent attacks in killings in Bokkos local government area of Plateau State. Now, according to the police, these resources are deployed to conduct special operations in areas as well as surrounding communities to restore peace and order, as well as bring perpetrators to justice. Now, joining us for this conversation is a retired Bishop, Anglican Communion Just Diocese, Most Reverend Benjamin Kwashi. Thanks so much for joining us from the Plateau. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. My condolences to the people and government of Plateau State. But why is there no end to the killings in the state? Who are the sponsors?
I wish I knew. It's a very good question. And that is the main question that has proven to be elusive since 2001 on the Plateau. And if we are looking for solutions, that is the question that must be answered. You would probably remember or have read the Feberesima report of the crisis in 1994. For 2 days of crisis, only about 3 or so people died because a lot of the fightings or whatever was the cause, people fought, and it was knives and sticks and so on. But from 2001, the dynamics changed. It became solidly weaponized. By the time of Dogonahawa, in a space of less than 48 hours, the estimate number of the dead was over 500. The village was wiped out. Villages were wiped out. And consequently, by the time it got to Riom, Gashish, and Mangu, and Bokkos, and Southern Plateau, we're counting in hundreds of deaths, which shows clearly that there is a use of weapons, there is a use of very, very sophisticated tactical operations that targets people usually in their sleep, and the style of the murder itself leaves a lot to be desired. Because in most cases, they will shoot guns in the middle of the night, in the air, and people will rush out in panic, and they will be slaughtered. I mean, the pictures are gory. So if you look at how it has progressed and the way in which it has come to be now, with some villages all wiped out and renamed, and new settlers settled in, that tells you that there are some sponsors.
It's quite pathetic that we're experiencing this on the Plateau. I know Jos very well, from Bukuru to Riom to Dilimi to Nasarawa. The home of peace and tourism has become a place where residents cannot sleep with their 2 eyes closed. What is the way out? Is spiritual solution the way out at this time, talking from your point of view as a reverend?
It is. There is no doubt that there is a need for a spiritual solution. But can we focus on the practical solution? At the time of President Obasanjo 2001 crisis, I said what I'm now going to say. I said that if justice is not provided by government and the law is weakened, then there's nothing spirituality can do. Even Habakkuk in the Bible said very clearly that the first casualty of any nation is the weakness of the law, which is what happened to them at that time. And it's the same thing that happens to any nation. Once the law is weakened, just forget about building a family or a nation, or even spirituality. Because at that time, people were arrested. We've not heard anything. And it would seem that the rise in criminality has hidden also in the guise of religion and a particular ethnic group. If you look at the farms of carrots and exotic vegetables in Miango, in Riyom, and all those places you mentioned, that cows will be released to eat and destroy farms, and the farmers cannot talk. And if they do, they get killed. Sometimes they are even killed before the cows are released to eat. Sometimes there is arrest, nothing happens. I know of when Fulani's cattle is rustled, they are given compensation. But they're not the only people who keep cattle. I mean, my wife also has a Fulani blood. She has kept 32 of her cattle. They've been rustled. She's kept 12. They've been rustled. She's kept 9. They've been rustled. And even somebody killed. We have never, nobody, if you are not of that stock of tribe, you will never be compensated. Now, when justice and law are not put together, and the church does not have the powers to do that, only government has. And I can tell you that government knows these criminals. Government knows the root of these criminals.
Most Reverend,
government has.
Yes, just a moment. These are strong allegations you are bringing on the doorstep of the government. Yes. The governor recently said that over 64 communities have been overtaken by bandits. What do you think the federal government should do at the moment to restore normalcy in those communities, and especially on the plateau?
No, it's not a big thing. It's not a big thing at all. The moment criminality is denounced by the powers of the government in any community, it sends fears to the communities for criminals to find elsewhere. Look, what has happened for lack of government providing justice and truth and security to people. I want to assure you there are more godly people and good people that are becoming bad. That's what happens when you weaken the law, when you weaken the sense of justice. That is what happens. So if you want this thing to stop, the first thing is government, the police, the security forces, and all the DSS, name them, all of them. Let them provide justice. Let it be seen to be done that criminality is an unwanted commodity in Nigeria, in Plateau State, or any state for that matter. And unless that is done, my generation, those of us who grew up in the 60s in this city of Jos, those of us who love one and we know ourselves, the Hausa, the Ijos, the Isokos, the Urobos, the Yorubas, the soccer players, the basketball, all from various tribes that have built Jos City. This generation is facing away. The next generation, they are already accusing our generation for complicity, for not standing up for justice when we should. We have stood, but the government is not giving us the backing. If the government gives religious voices the backing and criminalizes every crime, regardless of religion, regardless of your tribe, and it is seen to be done, and the people who have been taken away from their land and their lands are returned to them, the cows that have been stolen, wherever they are returned, and all of those things of justice are seen to be done, I can assure you, we will not only restore Plateau State, we will restore this country.
Are you aware that the president is also speaking tough concerning the development on the plateau? What's your take on the statement he has made to bring justice to the people of Plateau?
I pray for him. Honestly, we do. Because when we heard his speech, we said it will not be like the previous governments. Because the previous governments even ordered the IGP to go and settle issues. IGP didn't step 1 inch. And President said he didn't know. We saw another regime where the president was here while killings were going on in Riyom. And they were talking about peace. I pray for President Tinubu that in his time, with the strides he's making economically, that the next thing he must pursue is peace and justice for the people, not only of Plateau, but especially of Plateau for now, because we've been guinea pigs since 2001. Since 2001. And honestly, if you're looking at the case that Mutfwang has now, in his own words, he said we are facing a genocidal situation, a situation where people are taking our land. They're interested in our land and the blessings God has blessed us in. Now, how can a nation of a federal nation like ours allow things like that to happen? So the talk of President Tinubu, we ask God Almighty to strengthen his heart, give him the courage to face this country, and let us see justice being done for the people of Plateau. We have addresses and names of people that have been killed over the years. And if you want a tally of number, this is clearly a case of ethnic cleansing and genocide.
Well, it's quite pathetic at the moment, and I hope that the government is also listening at this time to ensure that justice is done to the people of Plateau. You've been a victim of the attack for more than 2 times, and some think that the bandits are targeting you. Are you afraid?
Naturally. I live in fear, but what can I do? I only trust in the God who has told me not to fear not. That's all. And maybe even this is the last time you might even see me after this talk, because I'm just as vulnerable as any other human being. How I have survived, I want to believe that God is sparing my life for his own good purposes. So I couldn't be bothered anymore, but I'm worried for the children, my grandchildren. I really worry for them, whether they will have a nation or a state even. I take them to the village sometimes to go and see some of the poor ones, the IDPs and all of that. And I don't know what the future holds for the people of Plateau when I look at children under 10 nowadays. Mark you, many of them are out of school. The number of orphans is uncountable, honestly. I used to keep data from the IDP camps when I was bishop. I had a department of research and I used to keep data. It used to be about 10,000 in the city, just children under 12. And my wife took it upon herself to also take some into our house, and then we provide a school for some of them. They don't have to pay school fees. We feed them, we keep them, and we put teachers. But right now, I don't think I know the numbers anymore.
Well, it's a sad development coming from the Plateau. What's your advice to the governor of the state to ensure that normalcy is also restored to those communities bedeviled by the bandits?
2 sides of the advice. The first one is I want to commend the director of DSS. His speech was most wise and very direct and honest. And by the way, what he said is not new. Those of us who grew up before independence, we saw the local police of the Dogari and the emirs or the chiefs were in charge and so on. They were local. And they also had their intelligence units. So I do agree that communities need to have a form of defense. Although by my training, I went to military school, I am opposed to an unregimented defense force. They have to be regimented, they have to be guided, they have to be accountable. That is very, very important because every bullet is going to end up in the chest of somebody else. And if you cannot account for it, then you do not need that kind of defense mechanism in your community. So the first one is for the governor to look at that, and indeed any governor. Amotekun has done a good job, and I think some other governors are looking at that possibility. And then the addition is to have state police. All of those are solidly regimented, and I support it. But our governor is a fine gentleman. He's a lawyer. What he does need is to be courageous. Let his word count. Because at this time, he's not talking easy about the crimes and criminality that's going on in Plateau. He needs to be supported by the IGP, by the Chief of Defense, and all other security forces. He needs that support because every governor is supposed to be chief security, but they don't have the control. So they need the support from the federal.
We hope that peace will absolutely get back to Jos. Let me be a bit personal at this time before we let you go, because time will not permit us to move further on the program. But in June 2021, you resumed duty after a divine healing of stage 4 cancer. Tell us your experience and how you survived this. Is this not a miracle that you are still alive 4 years after the healing?
Well, 2 years after that, I got another stage 4 liver cancer as well. So the miracle is huge. And I want to encourage Nigerians, everybody, Christians, Muslims, and anybody else, listen carefully. Cancer will kill, but cancer does not have to kill anybody. The problem with cancer is the fear of cancer. You don't have to fear it. Just like you asked me whether I'm afraid I'm going to be killed. Actually, the attempts on my life is more than 2, but God has spared me. So in the same way, God has spared me with cancer. I want to encourage anybody and family members who have people going through with cancer, please encourage them not to be afraid. You're not going to die because of cancer. People have lived with cancer for 10 years. People have lived 15 years even with cancer. So the first thing is don't be afraid. Number 2, we are Nigerians. Let us eat our local Nigerian food. Ewedu, gbegiri, amala, dawa, tuwo, miyan kuka.
I hope you also take that a lot, because I also like the miyan kuka. When I was in Jos, I enjoyed that a lot.
That's the secret of apparently, I did not know. And we went for treatment in the US. And poor girl, my wife, she's a local girl. She's always that who she has always been, and that's how we went. And our caregiver looked at what do you give him, and she said this Nigerian food. She said, please give him that. Don't worry about American food.
We just have to go now. Retired Bishop Anglican Diocese, Jos Diocese, Most Reverend Benjamin Kwashi. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
God bless you.
And we hope to have you some other time.
It will be my pleasure, and I'll be grateful. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, thank you so much. Now join us for more discussion after the break as we focus on the political scene in Anambra ahead of the governorship election. Do not go anywhere. Definitely. Good morning.